Yeah, what's up, kings and queens? Today we're going to switch the subject a little bit and we're going to talk about how fragmented will the ANC vote be in the next election. But before we do that, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment, and share this video. Also, hit the notification bell so that you get notified next time we drop content like this. It is very apparent that ANC support has waned over the years. We can see this by the exodus of their prominent members or them chasing them out. We see Jacob Zuma has opened his own party, which is called umkhontowesizwe or MNK. We have noticed that Ace Makhashuda also has formed his own party called ACT. There has been 30 new parties that have been registered in the last year. And also, the partition of the ANC, the defragmentation of ANC, is going to be boosted by comments like, "We lied to the government and called the swimming pool the fire pool," by Mr. Mbalula. Load shedding, which we can call load shedding from ham. Poverty, which is also incremented by lack of employment amongst the youth. Also, corruption in the tender department. It is common knowledge that people get deleted or threatened over these contracts. And it has been all over the news that most of South African politicians are embroiled in corruption scandals involving tenders. Now, how many votes do you think the ANC will retain in the coming elections? By the end of the elections, they will be having less than what they're having this year. And we can also say that from all the 30 parties that have registered, it's a high possibility that most of them are registered by disgruntled ANC members who felt that they have seats or they have sway or they have pull or they have influence over their constituencies. Now they will be able to just go back to our constituencies and convince them that since the ANC is not looking at us, let's look at our own party and vote for it so that we can be able to cover our needs and plans, whatever they were thinking about. Let's go.
The Constitution of South Africa allows Jacob Zuma and us and any other person to establish parties. Comrade Holomisa comes from the ANC. Comrade Malema comes from the ANC. Who doesn't come from the ANC? It's democracy, it's maturing. And the South African people must have a choice now. And I can tell you, South Africans are going to vote ACT. And South Africans are going to vote MK. And South Africans are going to vote all these parties which are radical in approach, radical in terms of changing the lives of our people, not in a cosmetic way, radical in the sense that we don't fear anybody who wants to capture and have the economy alone. We have registered with IAC. We are going to be on the ballot. We are going to contest election as African Congress for Transformation. We are about Africa and South Africa. And we are going to contest the elections.
Just to get an idea of how fragmented this ANC vote will be, in 2023, 30 new political parties were registered, bringing in total to 356 registered at the IEC. Now, you have to realize that in these 30 new parties, most of them are from ANC members, disgruntled ANC members. Add to that 7 South African parties have agreed to form a coalition in a bid to unseat the ANC. An Ipsos poll conducted on the party choices of South Africans who were registered to vote with the IEC indicates that 39% is held by the ANC, and then
19% or 16% is held by the DA, 15% is held by the EFF, 4% held by the IFP, 3% held by the Action SA, 1% held by ACDP, 1% held by Freedom Front Plus, another 1% held by COPE, and then 5% is held by the other parties, and then 5% more held by Will Not Vote, and then 6% held by those who refuse to answer, and 4% is those who don't know. Now, Ipsos, it's a body that conducts these polls from time to time. You have to keep in mind that in South Africa, when people answer and say they are registered to vote, it's not usually so, because the figure shows that there's around 42 million South Africans who are eligible to vote. But at the IEC, currently there's only 26 million who are registered to vote. Now let's go back to that article by Mkhomotsi Magome from Associated Press, which states that ANC in the last election won 57% of the vote. Its vote share dipped below half in the local election. This was compounded by load shedding, which is, I can say, it's from hell, load shedding from hell. Statements made by politicians like Mbalula when he stated the obvious. Now watch the next clip to understand what we're talking about.
We went to Parliament and opened an ad hoc committee and said a swimming pool is a fire pool.
Now, what effect will these utterances have on the defragmentation of the ANC vote? To add fuel to the fire is the formation of new political parties by influential ANC members from within the ranks. The apparent collapse of state entities like Eskom, SAA. With Eskom, you can see with the load shedding from here, unemployment, corruption in the tender arena. This will not help the ANC at all. Now, the two most influential members or former members of the ANC are Ace Magashule, who holds sway in the Free State, and Jacob Zuma, who has support nationally and even more support in KZN. Now, how much more of this picture would have changed after these elections? Please drop your comment below and let us know what you think of the defragmentation of the ANC. Now, let's watch a clip of Jacob Zuma addressing supporters of umkhontowesizwe at the Peter Maritzburg rally.
Sanibonani, niyaphila. Siyabonga maniphila abantu nonke siyaphila. Ngifisa ukubingelela abefundisi esinabo namhlanje la okuyibona abagqugquzele lenkonzo. Hayi ukuthi ke isonto elilodwa leli, amasonto ngamasonto abawaphethe bakhuluma nabo, bavumelana ukuthi lokhu kuyiqiniso ngempela ukuthi bona abazovota kanye nathi sibe into enye, sivote sonke. Ngifuna nikwazi lokhu ngoba kubalulekile. Kubalulekile ngezizathu eziningi sokuthi salwe lenkululeko. Sachitha iminyaka eminingi ngoba sifuna ukukhululeka. Ngifuna ningayikhohlwa legama lale nhlangano yabakholwayo. Sithe yini konje?
Now, Remember that Zuma and Magashule have agreed to join forces. Now this could be worrisome for the ANC because both these guys, they held a lot of support in their provinces alone, let alone nationally for Zuma. Let's not forget, Zuma is a very good campaigner, and it's clear here that he's campaigning or he's garnering support of the churches. Now, that's a very deep background move. Who is doing that in the ANC?
There are those who say nothing has changed, but they also know that they are not telling the truth. Bayatanda noma abatandi, the South Africa of today is different and vastly improved from the South Africa of 30 years ago.
We know that, sir, but also the loadshedding has doubled.
And that has been brought about by the African National Congress. These coalitions, they really don't work for our people.
But I guarantee you, sir, they are going to do some work against the ANC, these coalitions.
But they work for those political deal makers and those who are intent on advancing their own interests. Anti-transformation forces are converging in pacts. They are forming various pacts. Busbies are all packed this, packed that, and so forth. While at the same time, they are seeking to fragment the forces for change through splinter groups and smaller parties that want to contest the ANC.
January 8th statement. Well, we are in deep trouble, very, very deep trouble. And I don't think I made a call that the elections be suspended. I made that call, or rather postponed, not suspended. I didn't make that call very lightly because the challenges that South Africa faces and the choices that they have to make have to be made on a very sound knowledge base, on a very sound process of choices. And I don't think we have crystallized those choices to the extent that I doubt if we really understand what the meaning of democracy is, which is really a sustained improvement of services across space and time, sustained improvement of services across space and time. Now, when you look at the manifestos of the politics or the January 8th statement, it doesn't provide that encouragement that a sustained provision of services across time and space is possible.